right, welcome back to the Lit Life Experiment with Dr. Shaquinta. I'm Dr. Shaquinta. So I wanted to give y'all an update. So I did not post on Friday because there have been a couple of changes in my schedule, and I had to just work around that. And it is something that I'm going to talk about at some point. I just can't share the details right now, but it is something super cool that's happening. But I still wanted to share this evening's or this week's experiments, and we had our weekly lab meeting for the experiment September challenge that I am doing. So each week, I meet with a group of participants, and we have 30 days of daily micro experiments where we are just trying new things. And so we had our weekly lab meeting tonight. And so I always like to do these videos after that because usually have some kind of like insight or just kind of wrap up the week to be able to share just what that experience was like. So we had our call tonight, and the experiments are all around being able to like take care of yourself and try new things that expand your like capacity for risk, but also for fun and enjoyment, which oftentimes, especially for Black women, feels like a risk. And so, yeah, we just kind of share what went into the experiment. So we set it up like an actual like study or as an experiment. So there's like the introduction of like what it is and why, and then all of the different aspects that you want to consider as you were preparing to do said experiment. Then how you're gonna go about the experiment. So that's like the method part. Then the results. So what actually happened, and then the discussion and conclusion of what are you like, what meaning are you making of this, and then what do you like want to carry forward into the personal future. So that's what we do each week. And so I want to share just a couple of my personal experiments and some of the things that I took from this week. So we'll start there. And then since I did not post a book wrap up on Friday, I do want to talk about some of the book reviews that I did last week over on my Instagram. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So like I said, there are multiple different experiments. There's literally 30 different experiments within the challenge, and some of them are just fun. So I kind of just want to talk about the fun ones today. So the first one that I chose this week was to try a TikTok dance and like try to learn a TikTok dance, and I did. So there is it's a little bit older, like it's not a recent dance, but it's for the song Acting Up. Tommy Richmond, I think it is. Not really sure. But there's a dance to it, and I don't know what it is. It's just something about the dance. It's just super fun. But like the first movement is like this like arm thing. And it just tickles me, so I love it. So I try like learning the choreography. I learned, a good bit of it. But what I took from it though, what it like the purpose of it was just to have fun trying something. I used to be a dancer, like I was in like organized dance when I was younger. I've had like solos and things of that nature, but as has gone on, I haven't done as much organized dance. I haven't done as much like choreographed dance and things of that nature. So I typically pick up choreography quickly. I was on a step team. I was a step master, so like physical movement, that kind of stuff is like in my wheelhouse. But you don't use it, you lose it. So it's just really interesting trying this TikTok dance. I also feel like dances are just different these days. But what it did do for me is just give like a fun form of movement. So I'm also on I won't call it a journey, but like I've been making a lot of changes in terms of how I take care of my body, and movement, of course, is a big part of that. But I'm not necessarily a person that's going to go to the gym every single day. I just know that about myself, and so I focus on moving my body and getting my heart rate up and making sure I'm doing things that just make sure that I'm moving, and give myself variety in that. And just learning a quick dance is one of the ways that I can do that. So it was really really nice to get another like fun and creative and like yeah enjoyable way to move my body that doesn't always feel like I'm having to like beat it into submission. I don't like that. So yeah, that was the first one. So the takeaway is that movement can, and I think sometimes like should be fun, and it's okay to do something and not feel like it has to be like perfect or like it has to look good. Like it's just for fun. I may or may not record myself during the doing the dance. Who knows? But I did it and it was great. So that was the first one. And the next one that I did and I kind of want to talk about is it was a simple one, to try a genre of music that I've never tried. And I can't say that I've listened to a bunch of folk music in my life. And so I chose to listen to folk music. And I must say, that was actually a very enjoyable experience. Like, I could absolutely see myself listening to folk music just like on a relaxing afternoon, some rain outside while I'm like writing or doing some work. Like, it was very relaxing, but also the sounds are just really enjoyable. So, just trying something new, like that's the whole like premise behind the experiment, is trying something new. And so I discovered a genre of music that I would absolutely add to a playlist. Um, so like I said, that's a simple one, but like, try some folk music. Check it out. It was really really cool. And then the last one that I want to talk about is just a micro adventure. And so I actually went to a bookstore, just kind of went out exploring the city that I'm in, for today, or this was yesterday. And I went to I guess it's a very well established bookstore, Karis Bookstores, and it was just a beautiful experience. I think it's a queer woman owned bookstore, in Decatur, Georgia, and just absolutely amazing experience. The staff there was great. The selection of books, just awesome. And I had been looking for a specific book for weeks now. It was recommended to me by somebody in the group that I'm running. And I've just been looking for it. And the book is Imagination, a Manifesto by Ruha Benjamin. And I wasn't familiar with her work. I haven't read it yet, but I was able to pick this book up yesterday in the bookstore, and I'm really, really excited to read it. This was introduced to me as something that is, Afrofuturism or Afrofuturistic, and really about thinking, creatively about the future of what we want to create in this world, what we want to see in this world. So I am very, very excited. That's all I know right now. I'm sure I did not do that justice at all, but I'm excited to read it, and I do want to report back on a different video of how this read was for me. So if you want to check it out and be able to discuss it, let me know. But I will be reporting back. So that actually brings me into part two, which is a couple of book reviews that I did want to share. And when I'm doing book reviews, it's not just from a place of, this book was about this and I enjoyed it for these reasons. No, I truly believe that reading fiction is a way to learn and grow, while also just having a lot of fun. And so as I'm sharing these book reviews, I'm sharing them from a place of, what did I get personally from this book? How did it help me in some kind of way, emotionally, mentally, relationally, something that I took from it that made it more than just, a good time. I'm a firm believer that reading can and should be just a good time. Like, you don't always have to be learning something from reading, but you can. And you can learn from fiction. So I really hope that more people pick up fiction, put down, a self-help book. Ain't nothing wrong with self-help, nothing's wrong with nonfiction. They're all necessary. But I think it's also important to read fiction. So I'm going to talk about two books that I discussed this week. So the first one is actually a fantasy, which is from the Legacy series by Melissa K. Rorick. The first book in that series is Reign of Shadows and Endings. And I really, really enjoyed this. So, a little overview of the book. This is a romance. It's a fantasy romance, and it's a dark fantasy romance. And this is a world of legacies. Legacies are kind of like the top of I won't say the food chain, but like they're top of society. They're powerful beings, and legacy get to take on what they call a source, and a source is like a lesser being, but they have power. They have magic, and so the legacy, they essentially take on, enslave, choose a source, and that source basically bolsters their power. So they like siphon the power of the source, to make themselves stronger, and that person is bonded to them basically for life. They can hear their thoughts, they know their every whatever. So I don't want to give too much of the story, but What I loved about the series is the female main character, who is a source. And sources can be male or female. It depends on, they choose whoever they want. Oftentimes, like for men, they do choose a woman, but not always. It doesn't have to be that way. But the female main character, it becomes the main male character's source. That, happens at the beginning of the book. That's the whole premise of the story. But she's not meant to be a source. And so much is about like the chaos within her and how she tames the chaos within herself. And so this stuck out to me because as a neurodivergent person, there's always chaos. It always feels like chaos in here. And what I related to in this story is how much the main character did to kind of tame that chaos and be able to like show up and be in spaces and be with these people and try to do her best at, being what they want her to be, but that's not who she is, that's not what she wants. And so while she pushes up against it, she's also working really hard to not be who she is or what she is. I don't want to give too much away there, but and like I said, just relate to that because I don't think people, especially when somebody is neurodivergent, don't understand just how much is happening up here and how much the world actually sees versus what's truly going on. So that's what I related to in this story, but also just a beautiful, like it's, I won't say beautiful, it is a beautiful story, but it's just really good. I cannot wait for book 4 to come out. We're 4 books in. I want to say it's going to be released in November. Don't quote me on that. But it's definitely worth a read if you enjoy fantasy, romance, and if that sounds like something you could relate to. Okay, so the next one that I did was Colliding with Fate, which I don't have a copy of, by A.E. Valdez. And she is one of my favorite romance authors, black romance authors. And Colliding with Fate is it's part of an interconnected romance series, the Rise and Fall series. And this is two friends so this is book 2. They're interconnected, but they're still standalones. You can read them standalone, but it's better read if you read all of them. But the first book is like the first couple, and then Colliding with Fate is about their two friends that get together. And so, I mean, it's just romance. Like they are part of this friend group. They meet on like a bachelor trip or a engagement party situation, and they connect. But what stuck out with this story was the timing of when I read it. There's a parental component to it and like a health component. And I read this at a time when my father was in the hospital. And I think I just needed a good cry. I think that the story it gave me comfort hearing or reading this story at that time. So it will always kind of stick with me for that reason. I mean, it's a beautiful love story. It's sweet, it's spicy. Like I love an A. Valdez romance, but this one will always have a special place in my heart because it gave me something emotional to connect to during a time when I needed it. So there's there's some trauma in here. There's some like I said, health stuff, parental stuff, redemption, all the things. So I would definitely highly recommend not just that book, but the entire series. The first one starts with All I Wanted, All I've Needed, then Colliding with Fate. And there's a novella in there as well, and then A Worthy Love is the third book. I think that's all of them. I don't think I'm missing any. It's been a while since I've read these. So those are two that I'm actually going to add another. Another that I read this week and talk about, I remember I had it on here, was Out on a Limb by Hannah, I think it's Bonham Young. And this one is about two people who meet at a party and they're both disabled. They both have some kind of physical disability. The female main character was born with like a small arm and hand, and the main male character is an amputee. He's had his leg amputated. And so they meet, they kick it off, they can relate on this particular aspect of their identity, and one night stand, baby is made. So it's a pregnancy trope, if you will. But it's so much more than that. Like, this is just a story of friendship, a story of adapting to the situation as best you can, but also working through the challenges of not just being disabled, but all that comes with that experience for each of these people, and them being able to navigate each other's each other's experiences, support each other, and build. What am I trying to say? Like, just build organically. But also, like, it feels like fate too. Like, it just feels like they're meant to be, you know? So this is a beautiful love story, but it also just kind of sheds some light into an experience that everybody might not be familiar with. But should be, because everybody will experience it at some point. Or just in general, we just need to have different stories. I don't know. But beautiful story. I really love this book. So yeah, this one stuck out to me just because it gave insight into people's lives that we might not see every day. So that's it, y'all. Those are the books that I want to talk about. Like I said, I will kind of come back and talk about Imagination by Ruha Benjamin when I finish that. And we have week 4, the 4th meeting next week for the experiment. It won't be the final one. We'll still have another week of experiments after that. So I'll come back. I'm still moving and shaking, so I may be able to post a video on Friday with some more book reviews, but I can't promise this week just because of how my schedule is moving. But I will try. But thank you for watching, and I hope you'll come back and join me next week. All right.